Yeah, we ready to get right into it. Let's go.
Batman's universe has some of the most memorable characters in comic book history, right? I mean, we got the Joker, we got Alfred, but we also got Robin. There's been a lot of Robins over the years, but this video is going to be talking about the first Robin, Dick Grayson. There's been a lot of interpretations of the character across so many comics, shows, movies, etc. I think the best version of the character, however, comes from the Teen Titans show back in 2003. Before I talk about why I believe this Robin is the absolute best version of the character that we have gotten, I just want to say a few things. First of all, this video is heavily opinionated, obviously, but this is my channel, so I am automatically correct on whatever I say. Also, keep in mind that this is discussing the best version of Robin, that's Dick Grayson, and not the other Robins like Jason Todd or Tim Drake. And this video is going to be discussing and focusing on Dick Grayson as Robin primarily, and not his alter ego into Nightwing. That's a video for another day. Dick Grayson is such an interesting character and has such a great personality and set of skills, so I feel like he's not done justice, especially in more recent iterations of the character. For example, in the DC animated movie universe that ran from I want to say 2014 to 2020, with Justice League War starting it off to Justice League Apocalypse. I forgot the title of that movie, but you know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. But Dick Grayson was done so dirty in a lot of those movies. He should have gotten more love for sure. Teen Titans, however, was an amazing cartoon that I think did Robin perfectly. Before we talk about why, let's discuss some other versions of Dick Grayson's Robin I think was done great. Young Justice had a great Robin, alright, just for an example. That was a great Robin. This version of him had great leadership, personality, which I think are two key traits of Dick Grayson. He was funny, brave, he showed his leadership skills, being the other members of the team. I think this was a great version, but just wasn't quite the best in my opinion. There was also the version from the Batman because he's a really great character. But getting all those out of the way, I think the Teen Titans Robin is the absolute best version of Dick Grayson that we have gotten so far. And let's just get started on the why. To start off, this version of Dick Grayson is a fantastic leader.
Concert's over, punk. I've heard enough. Titans, go!
It's not only because of the fact that he's the leader of the Teen Titans, and he has a strong command presence in the show, amidst people who are arguably way more powerful than him, right? I mean, we got people like an alien, and someone that could transform into a T-Rex that he leads. But a big reason as to why his leadership skills are really highlighted is the lack of Batman in the show, funny enough. Robin really benefits in the show with no Batman in it, because it helps to make sure that he's not put in a shadow of Batman, it doesn't make him the second, doesn't take away the spotlight from him. And because of that, I think it helps to enhance his leadership skills, helps to enhance people seeing him as the go-to person, as the main focus of the show. And there has been references to Batman in the show, but other than that, we never see him, which, like I said, I think works great to make Robin stand out more. And I get how some people may be disappointed that Batman maybe wasn't in the show, but I just think it was actually really good that they didn't, because it helped showcase Dick Grayson's skills as a leader and someone as a quote-unquote go-to. And in other versions of the character, such as Young Justice, he was great there too. But that show, established that there were other heroes. I mean, the entire DC universe was essentially in that show. And they all helped each other pick up the slack and help each other out if someone needed it. But the thing I liked about Teen Titans is that it showcased Robin solving his own problems, for the most part. And if he needed help, it only branched out to the other Titans, the other characters in the show. He didn't go to Batman or any other big name for help, which I believe helped to show his confidence and how he doesn't automatically think of needing Batman's help, which gives him that sense of leadership that you kind of feel and gives him that kind of that go-to, he's the main character, main protagonist. He can do things on his own, which I think really is a good trait to have. It's his confidence that's really highlighted in the show, because in other versions of Dick Grayson, he's always there with Batman or the Justice League, and they're there to kind of help him out in most other iterations, but in this show, there is no Batman, there is no Justice League. It's really just him trusting himself, being confident in himself to be able to solve problems and do things on his own. And I think the lack of Batman, the lack of Justice League really benefits him in that aspect and really makes him stand out as a great Robin. Outside his leadership, though, his personality is just really great. What I love about it is he's very mature, like already for someone of his age in the show.
So early.
I could ask you the same thing.
I love sunrise. The promise of a new day. Anything's possible.
You always so cheery this early.
Pretty much.
He's always making sure that the other Titans are okay, which is great. And you can see by the way he talks and the way he acts that he's really tough mentally and physically. But at the same time, he wasn't extremely dark and brooding, you know? He was still making jokes, still lighthearted, traits that are very important in the character of Dick Grayson. And I think Teen Titans balanced that perfectly because it's what I imagine someone's personality to be when they're trained by their Dark Knight. But they are also naturally just lighthearted and funny. The show balances those two personalities perfectly and molds it into like a great version of Dick Grayson. Almost damn near perfect in my opinion. I think a lot of this is also owed to the voice actor as well, Scott Menville. The voice actor fit really well for the character, and I think it's my favorite voice for the character of Robin like of all time, honestly. I'm surprised I haven't used his voice for like other iterations, because I think it just fits really well with Robin. Another detail I love about this version of Dick Grayson is that although Batman's not present in the show, you can tell that Robin and him have a strong relationship and still respect and consider each other family. It's obvious because there's a bunch of references to Batman that is mentioned by Robin that imply that, you know, he's calling him the best and considering him his father.
Who knows? I might even become like a father to you.
I already have a father.
No problem. I can help you train. I got a new computer-simulated fight sequence in the gym.
I've already trained with the best, and apparently it wasn't enough.
And some versions of Robin just don't have that aspect, you know? Some versions of Robin have him leaving on bad terms with Batman, and it may be a plot point that some people do enjoy, but for me, it's something that I don't think fits at all with the character of Dick Grayson.
You don't know him like I do. He manipulates, pulls strings, anything to get what he wants.
I thought we had the same goals.
Things change. I changed. The game's over, Batman. I quit.
Robin, wait.
On top of all of this Robin is very strong physically too, very acrobatic. You could believe this Robin can keep up with powerhouses in the show, you know, like Raven. He can go toe-to-toe with people like Slade and other powerful enemies. And I really love this aspect about the character, and I really love when shows and media and movies really just hammer in the point of how strong and physically capable these characters are supposed to be. And Teen Titans does that perfectly. The way Robin fights and moves in the show is not only entertaining, but it's how you expect someone to be that's trained by Batman, that's trained to be a master acrobat would fight. You know? And I think that's just great. And I'm really happy that they highlighted that in the show, and that's just another reason as to why he's the best version of the character. So yeah, I mean, big reasons as to why this Robin is the best is because of his leadership, especially with it being highlighted because of the lack of Batman in the show to potentially downplay him, right? His maturity is there, his sense of humor is present, his strong relationships with his friends is all there. He has great physical and mental capabilities, and he wasn't an absolute perfect character. He had flaws, like being Slade's apprentice. I guess that's not really a flaw, it's just like a plot point. But like a very well-written protagonist, you know, he has those challenges to face, and the way it's written in the show for Dick Grayson was done very well. The writing in
Alright, thank y'all for watching. We're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. I probably had to charge my computer up. It looks like it's not dead, but it's getting there. I didn't charge it last night. I was watching Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. I watched like about an hour and maybe 10 minutes. I probably got like 20 or 30 minutes left. I might go back to it later on. We'll see. It's crazy how you can, even if you don't watch the show, you just watch the movie and you're gonna be caught up. All you need to know is Goku is the guy. Everybody else is they're like characters in the story. They're not the story. They just support. Anyways,